It remains to be seen what the Washington Wizards front court looks like next year, but the combination of Alex Sarr and Tristan Vukcevic could be intriguing. This is Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
DC family, this is Locked On Wizards, where you're part of our family. We thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. Here, part of the Locked On Network. It's your team every day. Check us out on all of our socials via our Linktree page that we just got up and running this morning. And be sure to subscribe, like the video. Let us know what you are liking or not liking about Locked On Wizards so far. Fun episode planned for you today. NBA free agency has been doldrum at best around the league. We'll touch on that a little bit in segment number 3. But combinations today for this Wizards team, we hope to see a couple that could blossom into some pretty intriguing duos, if you will, for this Wizards team next year. Bob Carrington and Trey Johnson in the backcourt. But we'll start off with the front court. Alex Sarr, who we saw expand himself much more in the second half of the season, come into his own as a second overall pick. But who's going to play alongside him this year? And with what the Wizards currently have at the center position, Kelly Olynyk, who comes in the Jordan Poole trade right now, Rashawn Holmes, who's on an expiring deal. He is, his future probably up in the air here in Washington. He's a guy that could definitely be a candidate to be moved at some point. But Tristan Vukcevic, he's a restricted free agent. The Wizards can match any contract that other teams offer him. And he's someone that's a former second-round pick, and when he's been given his opportunities on the floor and gotten his run, he has produced at a pretty efficient rate. Abdullah, I could see you're pretty hyped up to talk about Vukcevic. This is your guy, so I'll leave the floor for you right now.
Yeah, it's safe to say I'm the CEO of the TV fan club. I think one thing, before we even talk about this discussion, the fact that we have a second-round pick that provides meaningful minutes. I mean, again, I always give credit to Will Dawkins, but this is just another thing that he did that was just on the previous regimes just never happened. A second-round pick is contributing to a team. In the past, I mean, before Tristan Vukcevic, maybe you bring Thomas Satoransky into the discussion, but even him, it took some time to develop. But come year 1, year 2, Tristan Vukcevic played, and when he played, that mid-range shot was nice. He could shoot it from 3, a 7-footer that can stretch the floor. Defensively needs to get better, but this is the topic that I wanted to talk about because, again, Sarr at the 5, Vukcevic at the 4 could be an interesting front court, and I think they can complement each other really, really well.
In that final game of the regular season against Miami, our guy Vuk went off. 28 points, 11 boards, and 5 assists in Washington's win in the season finale. And I think that's kind of a prime example of what you can get out of Tristan Vukcevic here come late in the season and when he really does get his opportunities with this Wizards team. I think, as you mentioned, the defensive work and the rebounding is something he could get much better at. But in that final game, he certainly rebounded the ball pretty well, also contributed defensively, added a block to his name. I just feel like he needs to be in a little bit better shape, in my opinion. I think there were times where he would get long stretches of play out on the floor, and he looked a little gassed to me at times. But if you do have the combination of Alex Sarr and Tristan Vukcevic on the floor, you have 2 7-footers out there at the same time. So theoretically, you should be able to protect the rim a little bit better. I don't know with the defensive tendencies that we've seen from Vuk so far, if that would necessarily be the case. I'm not sure if he really moves well enough laterally to be great as a rim protector. But the possibility of those two playing a lot of minutes together is certainly high at this point, I would have to say, at this point in the offseason for Washington. The Wizards did not address the center position in the draft, did not do so yet in free agency. I guess there's still time for something to happen. But then also there's the possibility that we just see Alex Sarr running it back at the 5 and then playing alongside Keyshawn George at the 4. And I know Wizards fans and a lot of people are kind of desperate to see Alex Sarr play in a more traditional stretch 4 role because they feel that's what he's better suited for. But as it stands right now, I would not be surprised to see him just playing at the 5. But I do think Vukcevic is going to have a much larger run this year with this Wizards team. And I think he'd be playing kind of in a combination role. They'd both be playing almost the 4 at the 5 at the same time there.
Yeah, and this year, there really shouldn't be any excuses for Tristan Vukcevic to be limited when it comes to minutes because, again, you traded Jonas Valanciunas. Rashawn Holmes is an older guy, but do you really want to give him more reps than a guy on TV who has that untapped potential? I saw an interesting take on X, Ben, that I want to get to you. This is from a guy, Mo. He said if Will Dawkins wanted a big, he had options. Draft, trades, free agency, clearly not a priority. Sarr is a modern 5, and we got wings who can play 3 or 4. Giving him full reps at the 5 helps him unlock his potentials. Wizards aren't small 1 through 5, and I'll say we're reorganizing. Don't want to see the T word. Don't see the issue at all. I'd care if we were trying to win and rebounding was costing us games, but at this stage of the rebuild, we're chilling. Just hope Sarr gets stronger and plays with some physicality down low. And honestly, I didn't really think about it like that, but that does kind of make sense because at the end of the day, you want Alex Sarr to be that 7-foot beast, and we want to see that aggressiveness go up. Last year was a clear problem of ball watching and just not being in the paint as much, taking 3-point shots when he should be posting up, needs to get better in the post game. So maybe this is a thing for Alex Sarr to, hey, you're the 5. We don't want you to play the 4 because we know you can play better at the 5.
Yeah, and I think we got a lot of comments on our video that came out previously yesterday discussing the potential of who could be a supermax player here in Washington. And my take on Alex Sarr, the backlash that we receive about a guy like Alex Sarr is that he doesn't play physical enough and that he's too soft in the painted area. And while there is some truth to that, I think there were a lot of examples last year where he didn't show the aggression that he should have, that he wasn't able to physically impose himself the way he should at his size. But I think that's something that can be coachable for a player like him, something he can work on. I think it is something that improved as the season went on. So you would love to see that. You would love to see Alex Sarr try to use his size to his advantage next year. And although he does have the ability to stretch the floor and play outside a little bit, which is why so many Wizards fans are, enamored by the idea of him playing as the stretch 4, but he's a 7-footer and he's a guy that has tools to finish around the rim. So you need to see him improve in that aspect of his game. And I think he will here in year number 2. Vukcevic, I think as well, is a guy that you put around the rim when you have both him and Sarr on the floor. So then you can see Sarr play outside a little bit more if you have Vuk down there to command the post.
Yeah, I think so. And again, right now, it's not about winning. We'll always bring up the fact that we want that top 8 pick because, again, if it falls out of the top 8, the Knicks will get it. So it's more about development of these young guys and see what we have in the front court. Maybe Tristan Vukcevic and Alex Sarr could be this potential front court for years to come. We'll just have to see. And it's going to be more emphasis on that development more than wins, which it sucks. It is what it is. It's going to be another year of us losing, but that's the reality of the situation here in Washington where we want to build that championship team, and it's going to take a little more time than expected.
Yeah, you're exactly right about that. We had an interesting conversation earlier today on the Craig Hoffman show on the Team 980. And I think you and I we could save this for our own episode probably because this is a really, really interesting thing to discuss. So in theory, this is not going to happen next year. I don't think it's going to, but this is all hypothetically speaking here. The Wizards need this top 8 protected pick, right? So with that to happen, for it to be guaranteed to happen, the Wizards would have to finish bottom 4 in the league next year. But if all of your guys in year number 2, Bub Carrington, Keyshawn George, Alex Sarr, take a big leap in year number 2, what if they started winning enough games where that didn't happen? Would you be stoked about the development, or would you be frustrated about losing a pick that you feel might be necessary for this team to really take the next step forward?
And that's very, very interesting because you're ahead of schedule if that happens. And not only those guys, but maybe Dylan Jones, that you just acquired him, or AJ Johnson also takes that leap. And to be quite frank, I wouldn't be as upset because we already have so much young talent on this team. Obviously, it would have been nice to add a guy like AJ DeBonza, Nate Ahmet, Darren Peterson, one of the Boozer twins, Elijah Arenas. But with additions that we have, Trey Johnson, Bub Carrington, Alex Sarr, Keyshawn George, Bilal Coulibaly, year 3, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's a good problem to have. You're ahead of schedule when it comes to trying to build that team on a rebuild stage.
Real quick, is Elijah Arenas Gilbert's son?
Yeah. You didn't know that?
Oh my God. Like, I remember seeing videos of him playing when he was like 10. And now he's about to be a first round
That's
pick
Agent
next year.
Zero's son right there.
Wow. Okay. Well, you know a lot more about the upcoming draft class than I do already.
Yeah.
That's
So
something
the big reason why is because Nate Ahmed is from like my hometown, so
Oh yeah.
he like did really well against like one of the Boozer twins or AJ DeBonza when they faced up, and Darren Pearson is nice. So this 26 draft class is really, really talented. I don't want to say it's definitely more talented than the 24 draft class, at least going in. 25 we'll have to see, but there's a lot of good talent in this upcoming draft class.
I haven't even thought that. Well, I know it's a stat class from what I've heard, but I haven't even started thinking about that yet because I'm just looking forward to seeing what we have developing here. In really the third year of the full rebuild here in Washington. We've talked about the front court here in Washington, what it could look like for the upcoming season. Let's talk about the backcourt, something we're a little more positive will be what we see in the regular season. Bub Carrington and Trey Johnson. We talk about those two next year on Locked On Wizards. Ever wish managing your money felt easier? With Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. One thing I noticed when I downloaded Monarch Money was that I was able to really start saving and stop spending as much on food. I think that was a big problem I had when I was in college. Since I've graduated and I started using Monarch Money, I've been able to save a whole lot more. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNBA for half off your first year. Welcome back to Locked On Wizards. Bub Carrington and Trey Johnson. Trey Johnson, the former, well, not even former. What am I saying with that? The 6th overall pick in this draft. Bub Carrington, the former first-round pick, who will have an expanded role this year for this Wizards team with the departure of Jordan Poole. This will be a very intriguing duo to watch. How do we see Bub Carrington ascend his game as a playmaker and as a true point guard? And what does that look like with a sharpshooter in Trey Johnson? Abdullah, on your first glance on what you know about both these players from what you've seen of Bub Carrington in year number 1 and what you know about Trey Johnson, what does this backcourt duo look like for the Wizards next year?
It's interesting because we talk about backcourt, and for us Wizards fans, at least since 2014, it was John Wall and Bradley Beal, and that was a fun backcourt. And now we have Bub Carrington and Trey Johnson. And looking at Bub Carrington, I mean, last year he got better every game. Last game of the regular season, floater said, "Give me the ball," takes it to the left for the win. Love to see that. Career high at 34 against the Orlando Magic. It was that mid-range shot. He could not miss. And his aggressiveness. Also, a point guard at 6'5", there were times in games where he would get like 7 to 8 rebounds, and he can dime the ball as well. Legit really could do it all. And that's what you love to see. And also a guy who has that ability to go up to the best team's player and just get in their face defensively. We talked about it not too long ago where we drafted dogs here in Washington. That's what Will Dawkins wants to build when it comes to culture. And a guy in Trey Johnson who somehow, some way fell to the Wizards at 6. I think he was the second or third best player in this draft class. The fact that you get him at 6 is just amazing. 3-level scorer, the best player in the SEC this past season as a freshman, almost 20 points per game, can shoot it from beyond the arc, dribble the ball, play make, checks off all the boxes, and defensively the size at 6'5", so we don't have to worry that much about him being bullied compared to smaller guards in this league. I legit can't wait to see how they develop their chemistry, and we'll see that come the summer league. We'll get a first glance at that and see how they complement each other really, really, really well. So this backcourt has really, really good potential to be top 5 and top 10 in today's NBA.
Absolutely. And the point you bring up, you lead scoring in the SEC conference, which was the king of college basketball this year. There's something to be said about that one because of how talented the groups are in the SEC and how impressive it is just to lead the league in scoring. But Bub Carrington did that at 18, 19 years old. Like, that doesn't make any sense at this point because we know how college basketball is right now. Look at Auburn's starting lineup. Everyone was 23. You have grown men in every single lineup because that's what college basketball is right now. And Trey Johnson was practically a kid out there dominating and scoring the basketball at will, carrying.
And you know what's also
Texas
crazy,
team.
Ben? On top of that, he was the game plan. All the teams, and he still managed to score. Any shot just seemed like easy for him. He makes the game look easy, and I'm 100% sure that's going to translate for the Wizards.
Yeah, 100%. I for a guy, like you said, all the defenses put emphasis on him to stop him because he was practically the entire team at Texas. And then you also have the age thing playing a factor. He's a guy that was poised and had a lot of, mental capacity, fortitude, if you will, to do what he did last year in that conference. It's just so astonishing to me, so impressive. And that's why I just have so much confidence at how his game will translate to the next level here because the NBA is a completely different breed, but he is certainly well beyond his years as a player.
Yeah, and I bring up, again, the game plan. Think about it. Cooper Flag, Common Malawach, Con Knipple, Rutgers, Ace Billy, Dylan Harper. Yeah, they can complement each other. But when he came this past year in Texas, Trey Johnson was that name. And even the double teams, the game planning of just blitzing him, he still went out there and he capitalized on every single opportunity. And the guy just hoops. He's a pure hooper. We talked about the interviews that he had. All he does is hoop. And Will Dawkins gave him that criticism. He took that criticism and said, yeah, I'm going to learn from it. Unlike some other candidates in this past draft where they'd probably be offended by that and say, why the fudge should I come to Washington? What does that GM think I'm not going to be? My game's going to translate. So very humble guy, and I can't wait. He just looks like he's going to be an exciting addition here in Washington. We got to figure out a nickname for him, Ben. I don't know yet.
Yeah, I've seen a couple different names floating around. One of them very inappropriate. I saw on Twitter. I won't repeat here. But his nickname will come with time. I think what he does on the court during his rookie season will kind of dictate what nickname we see for him. As for Bub Carrington, I think why he pairs alongside Trey Johnson pretty well is because of the mental part of the game that Bub brings to the table. And I think both, they are very mentally tough players. And physically, the capabilities are through the roof for both of these players, especially when it comes to shooting the basketball. But there's something to be said about playing on a team that is actively losing a lot of games, like the Wizards likely are next year, where last year. I think it's tough at that point to stay in system, to stay bought in to what the organization is trying to do. And I think in the Wizards' sake right now, this backcourt is one that is not going to stray off the beaten path, despite what the results look like on a night in, night out basis. I think those two together will look really good. I mean, we're just waiting for the first look at a Trey Johnson spot up on the wing or the corner with Bub Carrington beating his man off the dribble and kicking it to him. And we see a knockdown three-pointer. That will be something very special that hopefully we'll get the first glance at in a week from now in the Summer League.
And I brought up size, but both of these guys at 6'5", almost 6'6". That's also a plus because I always bring up the fact that come playoff time, your smallest guards get picked on. And a guy in Bub Carrington, who's already a defensive menace, will pick up 94 feet. And a guy in Trey Johnson, who's definitely going to want to learn to be a better defender. It's really checking off a lot of boxes, and this backcourt has potential to be really, really special in today's NBA. And it's only going to take some time. And this year, there's not that much expectations of winning, and there's a big reason why I have Trey Johnson being that Rookie of the Year top 3 finalist, because again, the load that he's going to get come his rookie season compared to the other peers that he was drafted upon.
NBA free agency hasn't seen a whole lot happen over the past 24 hours, but an expected move occurred out in Los Angeles. We'll hit that in the final segment here and a little bit more on NBA free agency next.
I think you're muted, Ben.
It always automatically mutes my mic or something when I come back in that. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money and use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. a lot of money was spent today by the Los Angeles Lakers to pick up DeAndre Ayton here in free agency. Maybe they need to use Monarch Money to determine if it's really smart to give DeAndre Ayton the contract that was given out today. And after the buyout in Portland, I think it seemed like something that was written on the wall pretty much the entirety of the free agency so far is that Ayton would go to the Los Angeles Lakers, but he agrees to go to Los Angeles and he'll earn $34 million next year between Portland and LA. The details of the deal right here, I will pull up for you in just a second. I have to get these back up here. But first glance, DeAndre Ayton, I know he has had so many questions about his character and his motor as a basketball player over the past couple of seasons, but now he gets a chance in Los Angeles where things were looking very uncertain, even as of yesterday, as what the future looks like. Does LeBron request a trade out of Los Angeles if they're unable to build something around him, despite them having Luka Doncic on the roster after the trade last year? I don't really know what to think of Ayton playing in Los Angeles. I just don't really have a lot of faith in the Lakers right now and what they've been trying to do. Love LeBron. I think he's one of the best players ever, and I think he's still a great player. But
that's for clarification.
I think he is the best. I know there's going to be people that go crazy over that, but there's going to be. I just don't see LeBron winning another championship. Not with this Lakers team, at least. He needs to be somewhere where he is the second or third option at best. Because right now he is not in any kind of form to carry a team whatsoever. And I know Luka is supposed to be that guy, but I just don't see it working with them. And I don't think Ayton really changes my mind at all.
Yeah, it's one thing for sure that Lakers needed a center. And we saw that at last game against the Timberwolves. Rudy Gobert had like 20 freaking rebounds. So they tried to do it with Mark Williams. He failed his physical. And now you're bringing DeAndre in. And I was a big fan of DeAndre Ayton coming out of the draft. He was a dog in Arizona. And he was picked over to Luka Doncic. A lot of people forget that. And it just sucks because his game just hasn't translated. I think a lot of that is just due to him not having that passion or aggression as a 7-footer. There were times where he just gave up on plays and just wasn't aggressive. And when you're a 7-footer in the NBA, you have to put your back against someone, just post them up and be aggressive. You have to be in the paint, and it just clearly wasn't. There was glimpses of that in Phoenix because, again, you went to the NBA Finals, lost to the Milwaukee Bucks, and Portland just didn't really work out, get bought out. I saw highlights of him. A lot of these Lakers fans were hyping him up, but there weren't any highlights from his Portland days, which maybe is a sign of something. But talking about LeBron, there could be a chance of him getting traded. But my question is, Ben, what do you think his trade value is right now?
I honestly have no idea. I mean, you asked the question right now, is LeBron worth $51.5 million that he got in that player option? Probably not at this point in his career, which is crazy to think about, that you'd say LeBron isn't worth a certain amount of pennies in a deal. But at this point, I don't think he is, and I don't really know how that will factor in to the way people would look at him in terms as a trade asset. I don't really know what it would command to get LeBron, because I don't know if teams would be willing to give up picks necessarily to get a guy like LeBron James, especially given how much money he's commanding at this point. It might be a situation where the Lakers would have to give up more assets to trade him, but it is also LeBron James, and he definitely could take a team in the East that already has a pretty formidable roster and maybe put them over the top.
How about this, Ben? How about this? And this is like crazy thinking, but let's say LeBron comes to DC and did what Michael Jordan couldn't do. At an old age, develops this team, becomes the alpha, mentors guys like Bub Carrington, Trey Johnson, Alex Sarr, and gets a championship here in DC, something that Michael Jordan could not do. I'm talking crazy right now, but hey, that's something.
If LeBron came to DC and the Wizards won 50 games, that hasn't happened since 1979. They'd have to build a statue of him outside of Capital One Arena.
Yeah.
Anyone that can get the Wizards to 50 wins, given how long it's been, the last time they were in the NBA Finals was when they won 50 games. The last time in the conference finals was the last time they won 50 games. Which is, it's insane. So they'd have to build a statue of him, but no. as much as it'd be amazing to have LeBron playing DC and like to have that part of the experience, but we already got that with Jordan. Like I don't think we need to do that again. It is funny to think about though.
Yeah, but LeBron would actually be more impactful compared to a washed up Michael Jordan, in my opinion.
I don't really disagree. Like right now, I think LeBron at his current state would be better than Jordan was here in DC. But he would make the Wizards too good, probably. LeBron is not going like that in a tanking team. But I don't know, maybe 2 years from now, LeBron in year number 25 will lead the
We
Wizards to the
draft
championship.
Bryce James, and and Bronny comes over too. Bring the
Is
whole.
that Bryce James draft class like 2 years from now?
I'm pretty sure he's a freshman this upcoming year, so I think he's eligible to go into the NBA draft. But
Laura, I mean, if he plays with both sons at the same time, I don't even know.
In the nation's capital, where else would you want to do it?
That would be crazy. That would actually be nuts.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I'm being delusional right now, obviously it's not going to happen. I saw maybe you run it back with Cleveland. You go back to your homeland and you brought that first championship there coming down 3-1. That's a possibility. I just don't know. And again, DeAndre Ayton doesn't make you a title contender because, again, I said the Nuggets got better, the Rockets got better. So if you're Rob Pelinka, you have to realize that LeBron James is getting old. We have to build a roster around him, or if not, he's going to want out.
That's exactly right. Well, as we digress, I'll get us back on the path here to wrap things up here on Locked On Wizards.
I wanted to make a quick shout out to the Knicks. I thought getting Mike Brown was a really, really good move. I thought he was one of the hottest head coaching candidates out there. On top of that, you have Mike Malone. But this upcoming year, with the East being weak, with Tyrese Halliburton being out for the year, Damian Lillard being out for the year, maybe Giannis would want out, Milwaukee potentially. Who else am I missing? There is another team. There's another injury. Who number 0? It was Damian Lillard, Tyrese Halliburton. There was someone else. Jason Tatum. Celtics. They're gonna, and I know they got Anthony Simons, but that's gonna affect the record. So next year, the window is open for the Knicks. They have to, with the addition of Mike Brown, and unlike Tom Thibodeau, I don't think Mike Brown's gonna play starters max minutes. So we'll just have to see.
Yeah, I mean, it's their Eastern Conference to lose at this point, so that's a good thing that you bring up. We talked about the front court a little bit and what it could look like if you see Vukcevic and Alex Sarr. Tomorrow, I want to touch on Keyshawn George and why I think he is going to have a very big second year in Washington. That'll do it today for this edition of Locked On Wizards. One more to go in the week. We thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen today. For your second listen, find the Locked On NBA podcast where there is no off season. Doug, Matt, and Hayes keep you up to date on contract negotiations, rumors, and everything you need to be the most informed about as an NBA fan. Find Locked On NBA on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. For my co-host, Abdullah Ayubi, I'm Ben Schrober. We sign off. Let's go, Wizards.